This guy, we're doing a natty or not on him. Natty or not. Well, he doesn't always look like that. Sometimes he's really thin. Other times he's bigger. Why does he get bigger suddenly? Well, I don't think he's doing it because of hard training. I've never seen the Hulk do any hard training. Wah! So I say, the Hulk is not natty. He's on something. He's on something. He's turning green. He's been taking way too much of it. Don't be like the Hulk. Be natty. Wah! Morning guys. We got a chilly morning on today. We're going to do some dumbbells. So I'm going to walk you through the ones I've got, and that'll give you some idea of maybe what you guys want to do. There's dumbbells here you can make yourself. I personally don't like them, but I'm going to run you through the goods and the bads and the uglies of every one of them. So today we're going to start from the cheapest. That's these guys. Actually, these guys here would be the cheapest. Sand-filled plastic. So these are 4 kilograms, maybe that's 9 pounds, a little bit under, something like that. They're dirt cheap because they just got sand in them. So I'll just stand up. We can use them for doing curls. We got no problem with that. They don't interfere with anything. They don't get in the way. We can do overhead tricep extensions. Yeah, no problem at all. Right, so we'll do some bench press. Oh, these are heavy, 4 kilos. So, yeah, we have no problem with them. They don't interfere with anything. They don't get in the way. Shoulder press. We'll be doing this for every dumbbell, so you'll get the idea of what we're doing. So up here, yep. You get a good move. You can put them together at the top, like that. And can we do pullovers with them? That's just running through, the basic moves you might want to do on your bench at home with your dumbbells. So pullovers. So all in all, the cheapest ones really didn't fail at anything. I could use them for every move. They were natural, they felt good in my hand, they're well weighted, and that's the cheapest. The limitation obviously is that you can't change the weight, and they're pretty limited to how big they go. I don't think you're going to get much over 10 kilos, 20 pounds, 22 pounds. I don't think they're going to get much bigger. Personally, I haven't looked into it, but that's it. And they're quite robust. They don't break. So the next one's up is some type of metal and some type of plastic, well, plastic film. Now I got these in a kit. They had about maybe 6 different sizes in them. So, and they were dirt cheap. They're not wide enough for my hand. If you've got a smaller hand than mine, they'd be okay. These ones you can see fitted easily in my hand. So there's a limitation already. If you've got a big hand, these really aren't for you. Can we do curls? No problem at all. They're great. Matter of fact, they're a little bit better than those because you can come closer to your hips. They're not as wide as those. These are 4 kilograms, so they're actually the exact same as those. So if I had my choice between the two, I'd probably actually pick these if they were identical price. Just look it up on the net. So while we're sitting here, we'll do some shoulder presses. Yeah, they're nice. No problem at all with shoulder press. Okay, we'll do some bench press. Hello, my name's Mr. Ed. I'm the talking horse. pullovers. I feel weird doing pullovers, they're so small, but the weight's good. Yep. Tricep extensions. We'll do seated ones so it's easier for the cameraman. These are actually really good because they're so small. You can get a good stretch down the bottom. Dumbbell doesn't get in your way. If I had my choice between those two at the same price, I'd take the smaller ones. Next ones, they're a really nice fit in your hand. They got knurling on the inside so that you can get a good grip on them. You've got sweaty hands in the summer, what have you. Not going to get sweaty hands today, it's only 9 degrees Australian. Yeah, at a guess 48.2 degrees American, just a guess. And so these are metal on the center and they're rubber on the ends. I don't know if they're screwed on or whether it's melted on or whatever. I've had these for about 15 years and I've never had a problem with them. So I'll just do some seated curls. And I got no problems with those. They feel really nice. The limitation again against those is the fact that they're so wide, but I'd still quite happily use them. No problem at all. While I'm sitting here, I'll do a tricep extension with them. They feel really nice, really good. You can get your hand wrapped around them nicely. They're not going to slip down. Yeah, they're great. I'll do some shoulder press. Did I do shoulder press? Calls are yes, no, yes, no.
Yes, no,
He's
maybe.
out.
Yes,
He's
no,
out.
maybe. Wouldn't hurt to do them again.
Some bench. And obviously if you're playing them in the center, up here at the top, sorry, you're not going to wake the neighbourhood. Yeah, they're great. Pullovers. Yeah, that's a great dumbbell. I'm not sponsored by anybody, so I'll just give you a view of what I think. Even Gymshark haven't sponsored me, and they sponsor everybody. Next ones are basically the same thing. They're metal centers, and metal ends. These are a little bit heavier, so for curls, they feel really nice. They're really nice in my hand. Good size in the hand there. They fit really well. They got the knurling, so you're not going to slip on those hot slippery days. Yeah, that's nice. Shoulder press. Great. We'll do some pullovers. So far these have been the best for pullovers because they're bigger when you wrap your hand around. They're bigger to hold on to. They feel really nice. Bench. Do some flat bench and some pullovers. Yeah, really good. And I'll just do some pullovers, so I'll be going back there. Here we go. Again, that feels really nice in your hand because it's so big. And because it's metal, you're not really worried that this end's going to fall down and hit you in the face. So if the metal and the rubber were the same price, I would personally go the metal, but I think the rubber ones are cheaper. So the next ones you can get, order them online, and I won't use a Stanley knife this time. I'll use a box cutter apparently. Everybody corrected me in the messages saying, what's a Stanley knife? It's a box cutter apparently, and I'm cutting a box. So I haven't, as you can see, I haven't seen what they are. I've ordered the cheapest ones I could get online, which I guess you guys are going to do the same. So we get our centers, nice and big, really nice. They're heavy enough on their own, and unfortunately we get plastic. So I'm not really impressed with plastic. Maybe spend a little bit more money than I did. So 1.25, 1.25. We put our collars on. I would like to have better collars too. If you pay more money, that's not really a great fit. So if I was sponsored by these guys, I wouldn't have shown you that. I'll just use one dumbbell. It's going to take me forever to put two together.
Feel pretty firm in there now that's closed up?
Yeah,
Yep.
That's pretty good. Thing I don't like obviously is all that. So I'll sit down on my bench. Obviously we're going to have trouble doing curls because my leg's in the way, and you want to start down here with a nice straight arm. So already we're going to have to do them out to the side.
Does that put unwanted stress on your arm at all? Or
No.
anything? No, just awkward.
No, it's just awkward. It really is. If I was doing a really heavy weight out there, I wouldn't like it at all. So we're doing over the head. This is okay with the smaller weight. As the weight gets bigger, it's going to be hitting me on the head as I go down. That's a downside. But I do feel it's quite secure. So we'll do a one arm bench press today. I'm right-handed, so I'll use my left because it needs more practice. The bar doesn't interfere with my chest. It would probably interfere when I had two up at the top. If I had two, I would have to hold them quite a distance apart, but I've only got the one. So, and pullovers, only got a light weight on there, so it really doesn't bother me. I really wouldn't want to have tired arms and drop that down on my forehead.
Not recommended.
Nah, or your eye. But the advantage is one set of dumbbells. You can make many different weights, and you can buy these separately. They're just a standard weight, so you can make them any size you like. I like the knurling. I like the hand width. I like the fact that you can vary the weight. You know, everything's got a plus and a minus. So I started with these. When I started, I was making my own concrete weights, and then I went up to buying these, but I bought them with metal weights, so I spent more money. If I was to buy them online again, I would make sure I got metal weights, and also I would want to get a better fit. That's pretty ordinary, because like if you had a heavy weight on there and you had it over your head and that just slipped off, you're going to wear it. Okay, so I started with these along the way, and then as I got more and more sets, I cut the end off. If you can see that, I just cut the end off, and obviously we got metal weights. So we don't have the clearance problems when we're doing curls. If we're doing shoulders, we can come right up above the head. Really nice. We do some flat bench. And you can come right up to the center. You haven't got the bar sticking between them. And you can come right down. So these are my own weights. My own indoor gym, different gym. And I've made them the way I like them. Pullovers. These are glued on, so they can't come off. And you can see how tight the thread is. So these were a much better set than the cheap ones I bought. So if I'm going to do some pullovers, I really don't have to worry about that end coming off because it's glued on and it's a nice tight thread. So I don't have to fear that these weights are going to fall onto my head. And also because there's no bar sticking out, we can come down a lot lower. So once you've got a couple sets, you can start cutting the ends off. Now I made the choice not to show you how to make these. I do them differently to everyone I've viewed so far online. These concrete ones are the cheapest ones you can do. You can make them any size. If we scan over there, that's just the bigger version of that. So this is where I started when I decided to make my home gym maybe 20 years ago. I had a full range of these, really dirt cheap to make. I make them differently to the way other people do. I have metal inside here so that these can't break off, and also the bar goes all the way from center to center so that these can't pull off. But I'm not going to show you how to make them because I don't actually think they're any good for people who are beginning. They're too dangerous, especially the way other people are making them. So the curling, fantastic. Feel a little bit bulky, a little bit clumsy. So we don't have any knurling, so that's slippery in the center. You can put tape or whatever you liked in there, but I've never had a problem. But slippery when wet. I made them to have plenty of hand room, so I got plenty of hand room in there. Shoulder pressing, and you can bring them right up to the center. We'll do some flat bench. This is where the limitation of other people's making of these cement weights comes in. Why I tell you I wouldn't recommend you make them the way they do. When you come up here, you got all that concrete sitting above your face, and if it should break or split, it's just going to fall down on your face and your hands are too busy to stop it from hurting you. So I wouldn't recommend anybody makes these. But yeah, they feel good. Pullovers, again, dangerous as heck. Feels good there. You bring that above your head, and should it break here, should it break there, then all of that is going to fall down straight onto your face. And also, as you can see, you get a lot of dust come off them. So as a dumbbell, yeah, they feel good, but too dangerous. Don't do it. You might be saving a little bit of money, but you could smash your face in. And if you've got a face like mine, it doesn't matter. But if you've got a pretty face, no good. So, this is the bar that comes with these weights. This is another one. See, they're really loose. So, when you put your weights on to make these ones over here, guys, you've got your weights, you've decided what weights you're going to put on, and then you'll work out where you're going to cut the bar off. So you put all your weights on, you screw that up really nice and tight up to your weights, and then you'll mark with a pen or whatever you like, hacksaw that off. These bars are hollow in the center, they got plastic in the center. You just hacksaw that off, and then we'll use our glue. So let's say that you've now cut that off, that's where your weights come to. You'll put glue around there. We've used that glue before, you all know what you're doing. You'll screw that on so the glue will hold her in place. Look at that, I can actually take that off. That's how bad they are. And then you'll glue around here, glue around the end, so that then is all nice and solid. You've really got to, if you buy one set and they're like this, don't buy that set again, buy a different brand. Obviously the more expensive they are, the better they're going to be. Well, that's what you hope for. So if I'm going to sum up, if I had unlimited amount of money, what would I buy? I would buy these metal ones. These are my prime choice. They are metal on the end, metal on the center. They got knurling in them, and they got plenty of hand room. Out of what I've got, they're my favorite, and they're probably going to be the most expensive. And the limiting factor is that dumbbell doesn't change weight. It's always going to be that weight. You buy the set. It's completely versatile. You can buy extra weights to go with them. They're just like these. You just go down to the shop and buy extra weights. Don't buy plastic, buy metal. Limiting factor is the bar sticks out when you do things, and you're not going to cut the bar off if you're still using them as like all different weights. As soon as you've made the decision like I did, that's where that one stays, then you can glue it all up, you can cut off the end, and you know, you're pretty good to go. That, even in a set, is cheaper than that. So that's why I decided to do these rather than that. So that was a saving for me. My next favorite would be the metal in the center with the plastic on the end. They were pretty good. They're 15-year-old. The plastics never came off or deteriorated, but I still think the plastic is the limiting factor on those. I really didn't mind these either for being really, really cheap. Really, really cheap, because it's just got sand inside plastic. They really felt really good, and they're not going to break. I don't know how old these are. My cameraman actually owns these, so I really don't even know how old they are or anything. They don't look young, but they're not deteriorating, they're not breaking. I think that's a great place to start. I started here with these because it was really cheap. I was making these for less than $1 a kilo, whereas these you're looking at like Australian $4 a kilo, and these metal ones are about $6 a kilo. The rubber on metal are probably $5 a kilo. So you know, you've got to work out where your budget is and what you're going to do. But hopefully today I've helped you make that decision. And even if online, you know, you buy these and you think, yeah, you know, they're great, and then you stick your hand in there and it's like, oh, that's actually uncomfortable. But you only spend a couple of bucks, and you worked out you don't like them, so then try something else. When you do find a dumbbell and range that you like, stick with it and just buy a whole set. I really seriously wouldn't recommend doing these. If I get enough people requesting that I show you how to make the cheap ones as safely as possible, perhaps I'll show you how to make them in a safer, better way. But I really don't recommend it, because like I can make them safely, and these ones are, I don't know, 10 or 15 years old, maybe even older. If they're 15 years old, then I had these way before that, so maybe even they're 20 years old, and they haven't fallen apart or anything like that. They just sit in the corner and collect dust now. I don't even use them. But if I get enough requests on how to make them safely, perhaps I will. But I still think, even though I made them safely, you might take shortcuts or not understand what I was doing, and then the concrete breaks over the top of your head and you get cut or broken or bruised or worse. I'd feel responsible for that, so I'd prefer you brought dumbbells from somebody else and I just help you today make that decision on what's best. Lift weights, live life. Thanks guys.